Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Webster Tarpley reporting here from Washington, D.C. And now we're very pleased to be able to go to Athens, Greece, and to get a report from our observer, our correspondent there in Athens, Michael Chiotinis. Michael, I guess we've just reached the 2-month mark since Syriza won the election, right? January 25th to February 25th, and now it's March 27th. So it's been about 2 months. So you know best how to proceed. Why don't you pick up the story as you think best? 2 months into the Syriza era, let's say.
2 months into the Syriza era, and there's not much to show for it because we are stuck in these negotiations, hard negotiations. The Germans, I think the German elite is interested in absolute financial domination, and thus the German government is interested in absolute political domination. And it's not just the Christian Democrats, I think. I think the German socialists are even worse because a possible success of the Syriza government, I think, will mean their demise, in effect. They will follow the fate of the Greek socialists, who have right now 2.5% in the polls. So it's a catastrophe for the socialists. And you can see the German press, the socialist newspapers representing the socialists being most harsh and most crazy. The crazy things that have been written in the past weeks. So this week we had a meeting between Tsipras and Merkel in Berlin.
Right.
On Monday, it took place under a good climate, and the aggression from the German press somewhat cooled down. But I don't think that's a change of policy. I think that they are trying a different approach and are being most harsh in the behind the curtain negotiations. And they are always trying to play with the carrot and stick, having blackmail and then having the press announce rumors about the finance minister going to resigning and all those sort of things that have no basis in reality. And they play the communication game, They try to play this card. The important thing from this meeting, I think, was that Tsipras mentioned at last the Siemens scandal. I don't think if you know about this. It was a big scandal.
Go right ahead.
Some years ago about it's a big company, electronic company, Siemens. We all know Siemens.
Sure.
German company who Siemens had been bribing politicians all over the world to get government contracts, and since the German government is trying to that's the funny part. That's what Tsipras tries to explain, is that the Germans are trying to play the moral card on us, on Greeks, and that Greeks are immoral in being debtors. But the Germans are the ones that are harboring a certain Mr. Christoforakos. He was the head of Siemens Greece, and he fled the country. He got on a flight to Berlin before he could be arrested, because he was the middleman in the bribes given to Greek politicians, and he knows who are the Greek politicians who took bribes. And he had never been questioned by Greek justice because the Germans are protecting him. And all of a sudden, we have a prime minister who goes in Berlin and says in a public interview, we need your help in the Siemens scandal. We need to know. You talk about corruption in Greece. Okay, give us this man so he can tell us who Siemens bribed, in effect. And the second thing is he talked about these old issues of World War II, the mandatory loan, the German reparations. Germany never paid a single euro, a single mark towards the damage that it did to Greece. And no Greek government has ever pushed this issue enough. But since we are being attacked on a moral basis, why not raise the issue or give them the opportunity to maybe cancel write off some of the debt by writing off this debt?
It sounds like it makes sense, doesn't it? Not a bad idea at all.
Give them the opportunity to sell a haircut to your voters, okay? Because you also have a debt towards Greece, and who'd never been repaid, and it's several hundred billions maybe if we talk about reparations, but just the mandatory occupation loan taken by occupiers during the occupation of Greece, German occupation in World War II, is several tens of billions. So it's something, at least. And now,
certainly, Michael, you have to think about the German culture, right, and the almost theological approach to debts and such things, right? Remember, this is the country that invented Protestantism to some degree in 500 years ago with Luther. And the other thing is the big influence, even worse than Luther in some ways, is, of course, Calvinism. And people forget that the royal house of Germany was the Hohenzollerns, and they were Calvinist, right? Not even Lutheran. That would be bad enough. So it's completely loaded with these overtones. And I think we also ought to remember that the beneficiary of the looting of Greece then and now was people like the Deutsche Bank, right? By people like Thyssen, Flick, Apps, Krupp, right? These infamous names of people who were like industrialists and financiers, but mainly thinking like financiers. And there it is, right? And Merkel is very much a creature of the Deutsche Bank. This guy, Josef Ackermann, that's the Svengali that put her into power.
Absolutely. And I think that there are lots of misconceptions in the public mind in the US as well as in Europe. And maybe we could do this in another show, address those misconceptions.
The cultural part.
The cultural part.
Yeah.
Because, and the whole history of this crisis, because the average listener may not be able to follow our updates if we don't repeat some of the basics again and again, I think. And a simple fact that I can give right now, because our time is short, is that 96% of all loans given to Greece in the past 5 years, 96% of the loans were given to European banks. Were given back to repaying loans, other loans.
To the Greek branches of Deutsche Bank, Societe Generale, and Barclays and so forth, right?
And
those banks. There we go. All right, Michael, hang in there now. Remember, conditions can change. Suppose we get, a general financial crisis would reshuffle the deck. So we'll look forward to it. See you next week.
See you next week.